This is part 3 and the final part of this 3-part video series featuring the Olight Rechargeable Batons. In part 1, we did an overview of both flashlights as well as did some USB power testing using these USB power monitors. In part 2, we did some extensive testing of the mode outputs using this lux meter and a little bit of calculations. So let's wrap up this video series now featuring the Olight Rechargeable Batons. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Olight Baton Series. Since these flashlights are very similar, there's a lot of common pros and cons for each of them. So let's go over the common ones first before we get down to the individual pros and cons for each flashlight. Starting off first with the pros. So the number one pro that I have is just the convenient charging capabilities of these high output flashlights. So normally I don't really like CR123s or 18650s just because they're expensive, but if they're this easy to recharge, man, it's really nice having that kind of a battery cell. Next, they're extremely bright for their size. At 1,000 lumens for the turbo here is very bright. Just you could have that in your jacket pocket, for example, and then having this 400 lumens that could be in your pants pocket. That's a lot of power for such a small size of a flashlight. Next, I think they're very stylish. They just look really awesome. Everything about the design looks really, really cool. A lot of cool details that you see in here, the grip on it and everything. It's just very stylistic flashlight design. Next, I like the flat design of the buttons that you see here. So you're never going to have to worry about this accidentally turning on like you would with other flashlights that has a raised button. It's very flush, so you have to really press it down to actually turn it on. I really like the design feature. I also like that it has a power indicator within that button. So there's a little LED in there that's going to blink red when it's running low on juice. It's really, really cool. I do like that you have the magnetic tails on here, not only for the charging capabilities like that, but if you want to do any kind of repair job, it can make for a great makeshift like headlamp or a lantern. So you could, for example, if you're working on your car and you need to have some light, just put that on the hood of your car and it'll bright up the area as you're working on it. So that's a really cool feature. It's because it's a flat design. You're able to do a tail stand, which is always nice to do. I really like that it has an angular body to it. So even if this pocket clip was off of it, this flashlight isn't going to roll off your desk because you have this flat design here, which is really cool. It's not just a complete cylinder. Next, you don't really have to worry about ever buying batteries for this because you have the recharging capabilities. You're going to get a lot of charges out of the rechargeable batteries that are included with here. And if you ever need to, you could actually replace these with just normal 18650 or CR123 batteries. I really like the built-in memory functionality of these, that you can go to whatever brightness level is your preference. And not only that, but you could also go to some of the special modes. So the moonlight, also the turbo mode and the strobe mode. So the moonlight, you just do a long press from an off state to get to the turbo mode. You're just going to do a double tap really fast at any point so the light can be turned off, and then also a triple tap to go to the strobe mode. So just the memory functionality and those quick selection of those specific modes is very nice to have. And then the last pro that I have is just the glow-in-the-dark ring and the bezel here. It's a really nice feature. So you have to have the flashlight on for a little bit and it kind of charges that up. But if you were to have this on for a while, turn it off, and then in the dark that's going to be glowing, and it makes it a little bit easier to find. And that's what I have listed for the common pros. Now let's go over the common cons. So the first con that I have listed is just the mode selection is a little bit slower than what I'm used to. For example, you do a single press, that's just going to turn it on and off. So to go to the various modes, you're going to have to do long presses. So it's a little bit slower than what I'm used to, but once you get the hang of it, it's okay. Next, it doesn't have an aggressive bezel on there, so for those of you that want to like having a self-defense on there, it's very flat, so that's kind of designed for maybe a business office carry. So, but no aggressive bezel on there. Also, I do like that it has the flat button, as you see here. Although sometimes it's hard to distinguish where that's at, especially when it's nighttime. There's no texture or anything on it. There might be a little bit of texture, but it's not really noticeable. So maybe if they had just a little something there that you could actually feel it a little bit better, that would help make that button a little bit more distinguishable when it's nighttime. And that's all I have listed for the common cons. Now let's go over the pros and cons specific to the S10R baton. So the first pro that I have listed is the size. It's a really nice size for a pocket flashlight. It's not too small like some of the other CR123 single cell flashlights that you may see. It fits really nice in the hand for just general EDC type aiming. Next, I think it has really nice flood. I think it has a little bit more flood than what the S30R has, which is good for EDC. Most of the time when you're using this, you're going to be just illuminating where you're walking, and for that you want to have a little bit more flood than throw. Although it does have a good amount of throw too. Next, I really like the deep knurling that this one has. I think it's a little bit more aggressive than what you get from the S30R, and I kind of prefer what I'm seeing on this one. Next, the last pro that I have is that it has a very deep pocket carry that you see here. It doesn't go all the way up to the top of the bezel, but it goes pretty close. And that's everything I have listed for the pros. So for the cons, the first con that I have is I think that the lanyard hole is too small for my preference. I had a hard time getting the lanyard in there. Actually, I wasn't unable to get the lanyard in there, and I gave up after about 10 minutes. It's kind of small. I'm not sure what could be done different, but it's just really hard to get that lanyard in there. So I didn't end up doing it. Next, the main con that I have with it is regard to the pocket clip. So as you see here, the pocket clip, when you're going to put it in your pocket here, you run it this little lip over here that you see here. So for example, your pants pocket's going to hit that, and then you kind of have to lift it up to get it all the way into that deep carry. So I wish it was more of a flush design on the pocket clip so you didn't have that problem, because when you're going to be putting it in a pocket, you're going to hit that, and then you're going to have to lift it up and then go there. So it's kind of a two-phase insertion into your pocket, which I don't really like. And then last, I do like the magnet on this for charging capabilities for random hanging points like for automobiles, although you're going to have problems with this bunching up in your pocket and grabbing random things like keys and things like that. So when this is a deep pocket carry, you're going to get any kind of metal objects, just stick it to the bottom of it. And that's all I have listed for the cons. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Olight S30R baton. So the first pro that I have listed is just the firepower that you're getting from this kind of EDC pocket flashlight. I mean, this thing has 1,000 lumens. It's going to throw a good distance, has a decent amount of flood too. It's just really nice for EDC purposes to have this much firepower on you. The next pro that I have listed is with regard to the pocket clip. I really like this pocket clip. It's nice and long that you see here. It's not going to fall out at any point. It doesn't go all the way up to the tail that you see here, but it's a nice sturdy pocket clip too. It's always going to snap back into place, which you don't get from other pocket clips. Moving on to the cons. So the first con that I have listed is that it might be a little bit too thick for EDC purposes. I kind of wish that it was more of the thickness of what the S10R is, but I guess with the 18650 battery, you might not be able to get that. But it's a little thick for pocket carry for EDC purposes. The next con that I have listed, I think that the knurling on the grip here is a little less aggressive than what you have for the S10R. So I don't know if we could see that closer. But I find that this is a little bit smaller, you can kind of see that on the camera here, than what you get from the S10R. I wish that that the S30R had the same grip that you'd get from the S10R. And that's all I have listed for the cons of the S30R baton. Now let's go over the pros and cons of the Olight charging dock, or they call it the micro dock. So the first pro that I have listed is that I really like that it has a USB micro connection. It's not a proprietary cable that you need to carry around. It just uses a standard cable. I really appreciate that. I hate proprietary cables. So the second pro that I have is I really like that it has an additional USB port here for charging your smartphone or another kind of USB device. Yeah, it doesn't charge as efficiently as what you would from your normal wall charging station for your smartphone, but you can at least do it with this. Next, I really like that it has the color charging indicator that you see here. So right now it's just kind of flashing because nothing's connected to it. When you have something connected, it's going to show that it's charging, and when it's done charging, it's going to turn green, and you're no longer going to be getting a charge, as I verified with the USB power monitor. So that's a nice feature. And then the last pro that I have listed is just the rubberized legs that you have on the bottom here. It's really nice for preventing it from sliding when it's on your desk. So if you didn't have those, this thing would be sliding all over the place. So that's what I have listed for the pros of the Olight charging dock. For the cons, the only con that I really have on it is just with regard to the magnet on the flashlight. This is such a strong magnet that it's just always going to lift up the charging dock. So it's always going to be a two-hand operation for removing that. It's not that big of a deal. I kind of think it might be fun if there was some kind of suction kind of cup on the bottom here so you could connect it to your, for your car, for example, or your desk at work, and maybe you'd be able to handle that magnetic strength so you could be able to remove that with one-hand operation. Because right now it's definitely something where you have to hold the base of it down for removing the flashlight. And that's what I have listed for the pros and cons of the Olight micro dock. One topic we haven't gone over yet is regarding price. Now, these flashlights aren't cheap. The S10R costs around $55 on Amazon.com, and the S30R runs around $75. So I imagine most people would expect for an 18650 flashlight similar to this, probably to spend anywhere between $50 and $60. And with the CR123 flashlight similar to this, you probably expect to spend $30 to $35. Now, you are getting the included lithium-ion batteries with them. The 18650 is 3,400 milliamp hours, and the CR CR123 is 650 milliamp hours, and with each flashlight you're getting a charging dock included with it. So you kind of have to factor that into the price. I'm not sure how much it costs to get a rechargeable battery plus a charging dock. I'd imagine it costs maybe $15 on average, so you kind of have to factor that into the price. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this product review featuring the Olight Baton Series, featuring the S10R baton and the S30R baton. In summary, I really like these flashlights, especially as an urban EDC pair of flashlights. You could have one in your pocket and one in your jacket pocket. You have multiple charging docks. You could have one in your work, one at your home. They're interchangeable charging, and it's really convenient for these high output throwers with the special battery types of the 18650 and the CR123s. Normally I don't like those kind of batteries, but with this easy charging capabilities, it makes for a really great urban EDC combo flashlight pair. So please feel free to leave any kind of comments below in the comment section regarding these flashlights, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. I know it was a little bit longer than my other ones, but there's a lot to cover on it, so I hope that it was entertaining enough to watch. So again, please feel free to leave any kind of comments below, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching the Olight Baton Series. See ya.